when a company looks at your profile, they're judging you basically, which is horrible to think about, but they are. And if they've seen that you've jumped from one company to another, they're going to judge you in the fact that they don't want to hire you and then have to hire somebody else in a year's time. So they're kind of covering their own back from that. And as a recruiter, we kind of have the same opinion that obviously we want to put really strong candidates in front of our clients. So we don't want people that are potentially going to leave again in a year and then I guess make us look bad as well, because we want to obviously impress both the candidate and the hiring managers as well.
Where job hopping comes in is when it's sort of 3 to 4 roles where you've been there for sort of less than a year, because that just then makes it look like you sort of won't commit, and obviously clients will then have hesitations about putting in the effort to train you and sort of bring you into the company and onboard you for you to then leave once that process is sort of over.
We've been doing this for 12 plus years, so in the beginning I would say it was a much larger stigma in the last 2 years, because 90% of biotech has had a reorganization or a RIF, a reduction in force. It is becoming less of an issue, but ideally it happens once, it happens twice. If it happens 3 times in a row, it's very difficult, or at least it's difficult to frame the narrative. There will be questions, and it comes down to how you as a candidate respond to it. If you've left your job because it wasn't a good fit, you need to be able to explain why, and not just point the finger.
If I see job hopping, first of all, I need to understand a reason why. That's because simply it can be out of a candidate's control. If you just simply ask the question, I don't think anyone just leaves a job because they're bored or they're fed up. I think everyone who goes into a job, they want to stay in it long term. They want to develop and grow with the business, especially in the R&D world where you are developing a drug program. If you're at discovery, you want to see that program get to clinic, but sometimes a company will be struck by a lack of financing or the program may fail. For me, there shouldn't be a stigma, because I've never spoken to anyone who just leaves purely for just leaving and there's no reason behind it.
There could be different explanations that's not evident until you speak to a person. So for me as a recruiter, although it really rings bells when there's too many, if a person changes too often, if the core experience makes sense, there is good amount there, I will always reach out to the person and I'll find out. And usually there will be a good answer. I mean, don't go crazy and keep changing every year, of course.
Sure.
But if things happen, it's okay.
A good reason obviously is that it's a short contract. If you have a 6-month contract or 12-month contract, that's absolutely fine. That's not something which will create any flags. I think just highlighting that in your CV, saying this was a 6-month contract, is fine enough. Obviously, if you start a job and you don't enjoy it, that's nothing on you. I think just explaining why that role wasn't right to you and why you are looking for this role, and just really showing sort of a passion for the new role and explaining how that other role didn't fulfill that passion, I think that works fine.
It is totally fine, and I think it's very admirable if you take the decision yourself. This is not a good fit. I've tried to make it work. It's not. I am leaving. That's a bold move, especially in today's climate. So I would applaud that, but it's challenging, right? To then have to justify your reasons. If you are a rift, it comes with another justification. So be able to explain coherently why you are looking, what has happened in your last position, in the one before. We go through people's CVs and this is a question. And then I would say, be honest with your recruiter. Don't fabricate a story. Tell them what happened, and then they can also help you to frame the narrative or to advise on things to say or not to say. You have to be able to put things in perspective.
Right.
And to look at yourself and say, well, what I have learned from this experience, or based on what happened to me last year, I do not want to work for this type of company anymore. I would like to work for a startup. I don't fit in the global multinational structure. I like to be creative. I or the opposite. I cannot deal with the dynamics in a startup. I have to wear 9,000 different hats, and I just want to be this. I want to be in this box, and I don't want to color out the lines. That's a conversation, right? That's career planning. This fits, this doesn't. But if you're able to put things into words and have an explanation as to why and how it will impact your moving forward, that's all we need.
I think a lot of people get scared to ask questions in the interview stage because they think it's the hiring manager that's questioning them. But I say to all of my candidates that this is an opportunity for you to ask questions about what your responsibilities would be, what the growth plans would be in the company, who you're going to be sat alongside, who you're going to be reporting to, things like that, because essentially this is a really big opportunity for you as well, and you want to make sure it's the right decision for you. So this is an opportunity for you to find out more about the company, not only for them to find out about you as well.